Now the next job is to divide this space up. And as you recall, there was more space given. Now I should really bring this box completely up because we did make that adjustment, and I'm using this line to help me draw the next line. So just as this became less angled as I came up, this one will be less angled as I come up. And now I've got that imaginary top. This is nothing, that was a mistake. So we'll just, that's why it's so important to draw very lightly with your pen, and the ballpoint pens are best for that. I've just got a Bic and it's working really well. It's not getting too blobby. Every so often you may have to clean it off, but that's okay. Now I want to divide this space up. So as you recall from my elevation, the first two parts were about the same. Now as you recall, things get smaller in the distance and things become what's called foreshortened. So I have to allow for that. So I'm going to try this and this. Now the front part, that where the curve comes up, is the least amount. So I think I'll go with this division for now, and I'll be willing to change it as I go. So now the height of the seat is less than half this height. So I'll try this line, which was one of our other boxes. Now what I'm going to do is make this same elevation. I've got this box. If you recall, this is that box. This is that box. Now I'm going to take that elevation and put it on here. So I want to take my back. Remember, it was low slung. That was the whole appeal of it, was low slung, and that's what's on my mind when I'm doing that. Now the length of the seat, of course, has to be a little longer. I think I should go down here for the thickness of the cushion. So let's bring this down here. And this, the topmost part, will be there. Now we need length here for the length of a person's thighs. And then this, I think, will be sufficient for down here. So we're looking at something like that for now. And then we have to take this line, bring it back. I'm keeping my eye on this line and this line and this line. So I want it to fit between those two, to make sense between those two. And then this will bring back here. Set that down now. This line has to make sense between this one, and this one. I'm sorry there are many lines, but this is something you have to get used to. Remember that that's what perspective is. It's all about shutting your mind's eye off to one thing while you're working on something else. You can't be seeing everything at once. Now this line, I have to look at this line to get this line, because remember, I'm going toward that vanishing point. So if I'm making a line here on this, it's going to go like that. It's going to start any line that I make like this, it's got to go to that point, and you see how they're going. So that's something that, until you get to the other one. Okay, so that's going to give me, if I transport this line over and bring that down, again, I'm looking at this line to help me draw this line. If I bring that over and bring that over, and I'm closing my mind to all these other lines so that I can do this, and I bring this over, I can just easily bring that curve up, and that will give me the seat of the chair. And I'm not done. I don't know whether that's going to be the top of the cushion or not. So I have to do it that way. And now I've got this I've got to bring over. So again, I'm looking at these other lines, making sure that this makes sense with what they're doing, so that eventually I'll end up with a line like that. And I bring this over, bring this over, bring this up. When it hits here, let me see, this is better. Bring this over, bring this up. So now I've got a separate box, and I bring this down to meet it. So this is something you couldn't have guessed at. That had to be drawn out. You wouldn't have been able to guess the right curve there, because they overlap. There's this point where the one curve overlaps the other, and then I need this so that I can swing it up to here. And in between, it wouldn't hurt to start drawing some of these lines so that I know that where the crossover occurs, these will all be going like that. And these, of course, are those attractive pieces that make up the leather. And then now the topmost part, it's going to stick out a little bit more. This was lower than that, I remember, so I'm going to bring this down. And then this, you see, this was great. This was beautiful. This piece of chrome came down, and this stood out from the chrome. And that bar, it was down the center, so I've got to find out where center is here. And this seems like a good place where that support might have been. It's some kind of support that comes forward and then curves up. And there was something here as well. And then there's this. And this doesn't have a bar from here to here. I'm a belts and braces person, so I had to put one in, but they didn't. And then this has to curl forward of this, so there's nothing saying that you have to get this line perfect the first time you get it. I hope that's what's coming across here. And this moves much more quickly when you've been doing it a while. I'm slowing down to show the thinking, what you're thinking, and this becomes innate. If you spend 15 minutes a day doing a quick sketch, either from what's in front of you or by using your imagination or your memory, in this case memory, to do it, then this will become such an automatic thing for you to do that you can show up in a meeting and discuss your ideas and show them, communicate quickly, that more ideas will come. That's the real reason that we're doing this, is because once you can do it, then you're inviting, your brain says, okay, this person wants more ideas, I'll give them some. And it starts handing you all kinds of stuff. So, and also for your memory, so that you'll maybe stuck for something, a client asks you a question, and you're filling yourself up. Every time you do these, you're filling yourself up. It's also important to know what your taste is, and sometimes you have to curb it. If it's not what the client is looking for, you have to curb your taste. So, and oh, there I go again, I'm choosing beige, and the client isn't, that's not what they want. They're a colorist, they want some real color here. I just think this would look more dramatic if I pump this up a little more. Okay, so now it looks like a bunch of logs sitting here, but we'll soften it up when we do the rest. And then there's a window. I think I'll put a window in behind here as we go along. Now we've got nothing in terms of detail here, and you'll all recall how to make the circles. Make your X and and divide into 3 separate parts. And what this is going to do is give you an ellipse that will fit with what your chair is doing. Have the same eye level and the same everything. And then down below, make sure your box is working. I hope you noticed that this was more shallow than the one down here. In fact, I think I skimped on that a little bit. So you see, once you do a lot of this, you can check to see where you're taking little shortcuts that maybe oughtn't to be there. And dividing into 3. These have to go to your vanishing points as well, so I'm looking to this to help me. And it's okay to jump around a little bit. Like I wanted to adjust that little thing because sometimes, like when you're drawing ellipses, they're a little bit tricky. So you might want to veer off. You'll find yourself veering off and playing around with something else. That's okay, as long as you come back when you're ready to tackle it anew. Those two aren't meeting up, so I have to force it. But you see, if I have 4 legs now, I can easily find them on the circle because I've got four spots for that. I'd like to add some carpet to my drawing, so I'm going to use the eye level and 5-foot eye level because this is drawn as if someone's standing to look at it. Remember, we put our 5 feet, and I'm going to use that as the vanishing point for 1 point perspective. So I'm going to put my carpet just behind the chair. So this is the furthest back corner of my chair. So I'm going to put my carpet in here. I'm going to let it go the whole width of the chair. And see, another reason to have this drawing is to be able to do some of these things. So now I'm going to use this. I've chosen a point where I want the carpet to be, and I'm going to draw my line. So here it's behind my chair. I've made sure of that. And I'm going to draw it out this way. And that should be able to work for anything that I wanted to draw in 1 point perspective on this drawing. So when I go back here, I can look to see where this would come out. So remember, this box is this whole box. So if I'm looking at where that came out, it came out about here. And I can check too, because I still have my furthest back corner here. So in fact, I can go a little lower. And remember, 1 point is a straight line. I don't know how straight that is, but it should be a straight line. Remember, I know this looks a mess, but that's part of why we're doing this, is so that you can train your mind to turn off what it is you don't want to see while you're looking at what it is you do want to see at that moment. And I'm trying to match these lines, these angles. So I didn't do a very good job over here. I'm just concerned about having too much carpet here, so I kind of cheated a little bit. So you got to be careful. And that will be correct for our drawing. I'd also like to introduce a plant over here, or some sort of decoration like that. So I've got plenty of room. That's the back of my chaise. That's where this line is over here, the chrome. I can also, I'm not going to see it. I think I'm going to take this, make this a little shorter so that I can see this on the other side. It's going to look very bizarre if I don't. Won't be able to make out what's happening over here if I don't. Okay, that's gonna help. And now to put this pot in, this is something you can freehand if you know what the ellipses look like over here. Now just remember that these sorts of things, anything round, is symmetrical. So however much space you put on one side of a vertical line, you put on the other. And that should be enough there. Put enough of a base on it so that it can sit down. And watch your symmetry. So I think mine is a little off. And I want to have those maybe something not too thick, but since this is kind of round and curvy, maybe something a little spiky, little spiky leaves. And at this point you're just putting any sort of little filigree in here that you can respond to later. See how it looks. Maybe a little odd because that's so big. Maybe make something a little larger because it's the same size. You're always trying to provide contrast. So this is the same size as that, so that didn't work. So now maybe I use longer leaves, bigger leaves. And they're not the focus, but they will be something to add a little bit more flavor. And remember, not being scared about all the lines. And I think I might, there's the back of my chaise here. So I'm going to make less carpet. I think less carpet. So it's going to start behind the pot. And that could be the line of the wall. And we could have maybe a window behind here. Maybe some drapes.